Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing and the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, Angie Scott and Barb Carey.
Hey, welcome to episode 82 of the Woman Angler and Adventurer podcast. I'm Angie Scott. If you listened to episode 77 of the podcast, you got to hear all about our then upcoming striper fishing clinic in Cape Cod with one of our guides, Todd Carrere. I couldn't say his name back then because I hadn't met him yet and I didn't know how he pronounces it, and he says it's not that hard, but it is a little bit hard to say, Todd. Anyway, that was just a really cool episode. Check it out at thewomanangler.com/77 if you missed it. Striper fishing, if you haven't gotten a chance to experience it, is pretty darn fun. These things fight so hard. I swear the smaller they are, the harder they fight. I don't know if that's true or not, but we did catch some on our event, and it was super fun. You're going to get to see all about the experience here. We hope you find it educational and entertaining. We had some weather situations. It was a nor'easter, and it was a lot earlier in the season than normal, so we were out there in some pretty adverse conditions. Pretty inspiring, these women that were on the trip with us. Just totally gun-ho. They didn't care. It didn't stop them. So it was super fun. This might end up being a two-parter because we got so much great content. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or iHeartRadio or Pandora or wherever you listen, you might want to check it out as well on Waypoint TV or on YouTube, because we're doing this as another video episode because we got such great footage from the trip. So you'll definitely want to check that out. I think you'll really enjoy it. And hopefully we'll get to do some more of these events down the road, and that you will be able to join us next time. I think you're going to see how much fun it is. So here's part one of our striper fishing clinic recap. Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
Our series of the Woman Angler and Adventure. Speaking of adventure, we're in Cape Cod, and we're going to be striper fishing in a nor'easter. How's that for adventure for you? We invited Jim Cantori from the Weather Channel. I'm not sure if he's going to show up, but you know, you can't pick the weather. You can be sitting home watching TV, but it makes your adventure even more full of life and full of stories when you're out and stuff like this. Just get the right clothes, like this electric thing here. It's awesome. And it's just going to be epic. We are never going to forget this trip. Stay tuned. We are in Bourne, Massachusetts. Is that what it is?
Technically, it's Buzzards Bay.
Oh, is it Buzzards Bay?
It is.
Well, better yet, that's a cooler name.
It is.
And we are at the Red Top Shop.
Red
Top Shop.
Red Top Sporting Goods.
And this is AJ. He's the boss. And he's going to let us know everything we need to know to kind of go rogue today, since our charter was canceled, and go find some stripers on our own. There's no weather too rough for us, right, Angie?
That's right. That's right. We're
hardcore
in our element right
That's
now.
cool. You guys are all geared up for it, so.
Yeah, we know it's not our first rodeo. It is our first striper fish, but we do fish in bad weather all the time.
Sure.
So what do we need to know?
Well, basically, in our area, the best surf casting that we have is in the Cape Cod Canal. It can only be fished from shore. You can't fish it in a boat.
Oh, really?
Right. It's considered a passage through a vessel way, and you can't impede traffic.
Oh, okay.
So that's why there's so many surfcasters. Fortunately, on both the mainland side and the Cape side, there's a 7-mile path down the entire length of the canal. It's really easy to park and get onto the canal.
Cool.
So as far as access goes, there's a lot of access. A lot of locals, they'll use a bike. It allows them faster transportation between getting in the car and going to a new spot. They can just take their bike. They got rod racks on the baskets and all that. You may even see a few hardcore guys down there with them. As far as fishing right now, judging by the wind being out of the northwest, you're going to want to be fishing towards the east end so the wind's at your back. That's going to give you a better cast. It's going to give you a better chance to reach fish. It's unlikely you'll see breaking fish this time of day with this weather. But if you're throwing jigs and stuff, it'll help get you a little more distance. You may be able to reach there's actually holes out really far that you can hit, and they'll be holding fish this time of year. The chance of you finding birds, I mean, that'd be great. Typically, they're going to feed before the nor'easter comes in, and then a day or two after, once the water clears up.
So, but there is still hope that.
Oh, there's hope. It's just the breaking fish. You won't see any breaking fish in weather like this because they're more or less hunkered down. But you use the jig, the Al's goldfish, or something larger, but along those lines. That's going to allow you to get down deep, maybe hit the holes where they're hunkered down.
So is that something when you cast out, you let it hit in the bottom, and then you just pop back into shore?
Yeah, exactly. So with the canal, you have the current moving pretty much at all times, unless you're right at the current change where it changes east to west or west to east. At that change, it's slack. The water's not moving too much. 3-4 hours into it, it's kind of peaked out. It's moving. With this weather, it's probably moving 4 to 6 knots.
Okay.
So what we do is we're going to be casting up current. So if it's running to the west, you're going to be casting 10. You're going to work it to 2.
Okay.
You cast out as far as you can. Leave your bail open as it falls. When you kind of feel that it falls, close the bail, reel in the slack. Give it a pull up. It's going to flutter, and it's going to flutter back down. You're going to feel the bottom reel in that slack. And you're going to rinse and repeat. You got the 10 to 2 window or 2 to 10 window, depending upon the tides.
Alrighty. So when you get a bite, do they smash it?
They can. I mean, right now, they're more than likely they're going to smash it because they're hunkered down. If it's an easy meal, they're going to go right after it.
Okay. And then how much variance is, should we all be fishing relatively the same area? If there's 10 of us or 12 of us, or do we have to one go here, one go there?
Yeah, I would say if you find fish, you can get closer, congregate closer to that school. But you want to give yourself a little bit of room. You can cover more water that way. Maybe find a hole where one person's got this much line out, another person cast a little further and it dropped down. There's actually holes. It's not really a map thing, and unfortunately it changes all the time.
Yeah.
Like last year, the canal was dredged, or 2 years ago, the canal was dredged. So that changed the whole bottom structure and stuff like that down at the east end by the Sandwich Marine.
Okay. So that's something to be mindful of if you're casting here and it takes more to get that line falls more. Once it hits, that's indicative of a deeper hole. And that's the spots that you want to
That's where you want to be.
Now, I've read a lot of stuff and saw a lot of videos about kind of this combat fishing where there's tension and people are piled in there. And so is that going to... Are there hardcore New Englander anglers out there today, or is it only going to be us hardcore Wisconsin women?
Probably more of the hardcore Wisconsin women.
Yeah, everyone. That's one thing to our advantage. No one else is crazy enough to be out here.
No.
So take us shopping. What do we need to buy today?
Well, along the lines of your Al's goldfish and something that's going to penetrate the wind or go further with the wind at your back, it's going to be more of a staple product for us here. You got the crippled herrings, 3 or 4 ounce single side wash hook. It's better for releasing the fish.
Okay.
This thing's gonna cast well, track well, whether it's in the wind or you get a little bit of side wind and whatnot. And it's gonna flutter right down. It's gonna cut through the water. It's gonna get you more time on the bottom.
And that would be better than the Deadly Dick.
Deadly Dick.
I just wanted to say Deadly Dick. What a great marketing idea!
Yeah. So Deadly Dicks are a much longer profile.
Okay.
They're not going to cut through the water as fast. You want something dense. And tungsten's too expensive to risk losing. So the next best thing is lead.
I've also read about these eels. I see a lot of this plastic eel. What about a darter head, jig head with one of those eels on it?
Yep, exactly. So this whole wall, from here all the way to that grid wall end cap there, are filled with lead heads and paddle tails. Paddle tails is really big up here right now.
Okay.
It has a natural vibrating action, and it requires less work to get that lure moving.
I actually have a bunch of live target musky plastics paddle tails that are similar to that, but I don't have the right jig heads. So do they sell I see they sell the jig heads separately.
Yeah, they sell the jig heads separately. You can go with a manufacturer like Savage or Algags, or we also have a more generic style bullet head.
Okay,
Has a good
sounds cheaper. Why don't you pick out the size you need for that?
Yeah, you're going to want to be at probably a 3 ounce.
Oh, big.
It's big.
Yeah.
Big dog hook, you don't ever have to worry about that straightening out on you.
Yeah.
And what are the chances of getting hung up with any of this stuff that
100%.
Really?
Yes.
It's not a matter of
Yeah.
if, it's a matter of when.
When, precisely. Yep.
You've been a huge help.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yep, we're going to chop
Thank
now,
you very
and then
much.
we will follow up with you. And well, maybe I'll get you have a Facebook page or something?
Yes,
If we-
Facebook, Instagram.
Okay, we'll blast you there and
Cool.
keep you in our loop.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you so much. If somebody gets a fish on, yell fish on, and then someone will come and help. Never been there, but I'm assuming by pictures I've seen, there's a series of riprap with rocks that go down to the water. Those rocks are going to be extremely slippery. So you, as the one with the fish on that's reeling, can stay up high where your feet are secure. Keep that rod tip up, make sure your drag is tight. You don't want those fish will dive down and try to scrape on the rocks to break that line. So keep enough where, you got to play that drag thing. It's a matter of feel. And this spot is supposed to be a good spot for casting far because the wind should be at our back. Any questions?
Scouting out a place to fish at the canal, Surfcasting Beach, which is closed, but we're the only crazies out here today. 50-mile-an-hour winds, nor'easter moving through, and we're not deterred yet. Be crazy?
Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy town. Blackfish versus frog top versus Columbia.
Yeah.
See who comes out the driest.
This is the product testing perfect situation right here.
What was the local guides thinking about it being a lure with a weight to get down deep instead of pulling something on the surface?
Because they're not on the surface now because of the weather.
Okay.
They had been on the surface, they had been surface feeding, but this weather pattern just kind of made them go down and hunker down in the holes. So the live bait rigs are down deep, but then these other soft plastics and stuff, you're just kind of bouncing them through those holes, and then they'll bite if it's right in front of their face. But we didn't really, we saw maybe 1 or 2 fish surfacing, whereas last week they were surfacing all over the place, and then that's when you're fishing that higher part of the water.
I think the wind has picked up a little bit.
You can't pick the weather, and you can tell we're in a beautiful spot that we just discovered. It's absolutely fabulous. What are you going to do, not go because the weather's bad? If you're prepared and wear the right clothes and, have the right attitude, you can have fun no matter what. There's
Well, with that, we're going to wrap up our part 1 of the Cape Cod Striper Fishing Clinic recap. Our first day out fishing the Cape Cod Canal, kind of on our own, figuring it out in the horrible, horrible weather, and we still had a blast. There were no fish caught, unfortunately, that day, but stay tuned as we're going to share more info. That evening we had a really cool educational clinic. We'll share some of that with you. You can check that out. We did get into some better weather and some fish, so stay tuned. We've got more to come, but definitely the moral of the story from day 1, we still had a blast, and we were all together, and now we have these memories that will last a lifetime. As always, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you back next week.